Yo, what is up? What's good with y'all boys? Y'all already know, man. It's your boy, FinSec with CB83A coming to you for another banger of a show. What is up? What is cracking? Another Monday evening, man, in Miami Dolphins world. What is up? Training camp dates came out today. Hey, will I see some of y'all down there in Miami? Will I see you down there at training camp hanging with the kid?
I hope so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, I hope so, man. I hope to see y'all down there in Miami, man. The dates popped out. I know for sure I'm gonna try to get down August 2nd and the 3rd. At least, for the scrimmage, for the fan day. It'll be cool to just come down, watch practice, see what the Miami Dolphins are cooking up, right? We gotta see what they in the kitchen cooking, man. Appreciate everybody coming through, man. Do your boy a favor, punch the like button. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. A lot of the people here are family. I already see y'all in the chat. My man Raul P is here. Cat for Life is in the building. TDR is in the building. The homie Shake Money. And shout out to my members gang. My members gang being here holding it down. Shake Money is one of the captains of the members gang. So I got to show much love to the homie. Dolphinaires in the building. S. Harris. Iceman, the homie Riggy the homie for real. What's good, my boy? What's up with you? Wayne D in the building. Hey, Glenn in the building. Hey, Glenn, we cranking over here. Glenn, this what you want. This what you want. We giving the people what they want, man. Appreciate you coming through, Glenn, man. We're gonna have some good conversations, man. I know people want to talk about this Tua situation, about Tua, whether he's good enough to get this type of money, or if he's good enough, if he's better than the other guys. Just so many conversations right now are being had about Tua and his contract. But in the end, ultimately, I think the deal will get done. And I think it'll get done soon, sooner than later, right? And I'm saying before training camp it gets done. I think they've gone back and forth a little bit about the language in the contract, probably about the guaranteed money, about the years on the deal. Um, but hey, at this point, it's nut crunching time, right? You're getting very close to it being training camp. Very close. And the dates were just released today. So excited about that. And that means it's time to go back to work, right? Because the off season is one thing, but training camp is like a totally different animal when it comes to preparing for the season, right? You got a lot of guys trying to make this roster, trying to make this team. Um, and training camp is a grind. And I don't think people realize, like, how much of a grind it is. Me playing and coaching, play college football, coached high school for a while. Those weeks before, you get to the games, it's grueling, right? It's a lot of practice, it's a lot of meetings, it's a lot of time spent with your teammates, right? Building chemistry, building a bunch of different stuff, right? So it's gonna be very, very crucial for the Miami Dolphins just to kind of get going right away, right? We got a new defensive coordinator in the building, right? Mike McDaniel's still here, so the offense should still be in the same rhythm, but you got to integrate some new guys into the system, right? So integrating new guys into the system, new defense, probably a little bit of new terminology. So it's going to be important that guys are locked in and focused on getting better each day, right? And it can be grueling. I'm telling you, going out there and practicing every day and practicing sometimes twice a day, and being in the weight room, being in the meeting room, it gets to be a lot. But they're professionals; they get paid to do it, and that's their job. Um, and Mike McDaniel, I think, does a good job of easing the pain a little bit. He wants those guys comfortable. He wants them having a good time. He's going to find a way to make it fun, make it competitive. And I think that's what it's about in terms of like building a great culture and a great football team. It's about making it competitive, right? Um, and then making guys enjoy having them enjoy coming to work, because it's one thing when you hate coming to work, right? I mean, I think we all been there. Some jobs you just, hey, I really don't want to be here. But I think Mike McDaniel does a good job of creating a culture where guys really enjoy being in the building, enjoy going to work, and it may not be it may not be fun. Practice may not be fun, but it's going to be competitive. They're going to get after it, and they're going to get better. They're going to get better. But yeah, hey, appreciate y'all coming through. 40 in the building. Punch the like button on your way in. FMP in the building. Mountie Fins in the building. I see y'all. Batman's Pops. Glenn Paliker. Jonathan by TDR. No, that guy. Hey, TDR is my guy, man. TDR is definitely not trash. Tighten up, bro. Glenn Paliker says, "Isn't next week rookie training camp?" Good question. I think the rookies do report a little bit before the vets, but I'm not sure about that. Is it rookie? I thought the rookies kind of do their thing in the offseason. And everybody might show up at the same time. But we'll see. We'll see. Cat for Life says, even with new personnel, I feel this Miami Dolphins team is strong mentally and physically, no doubt. We have been through a lot. They've seen it, heard it all. We are ready. Hey, that's a great take too. I mean, I think people underestimate the value of, the adversity teams face, right? And I know teams change from year to year a lot. They change drastically, right? There's a lot of turnover in the NFL. But, your core guys and the guys who've kind of been around, they know what you face, they know what you've dealt with. And those are, those are learning lessons. Those are lessons, right? Lessons that you learn from. And I think people underestimate that. I think people underestimate the value of time and being in a system, right? And I watched a video from Doug. Go check out Dudley Do Wrong. He had Inside the NFL on there, and they were talking about, it takes time for guys to learn to develop, and it's true, and that's what you got to understand about the game of football, is that this thing doesn't really happen overnight, and sometimes you'll see it happen overnight, but there's something special about those situations, right? And I think Mike McDaniel and Tua Tagovailoa are learning the process, and I think the whole team is learning the process, learning how to win, learning how to face adversity, learning how to deal with the highs and lows of the NFL season, being in MVP talks, folding down the stretch. I think these are all things that, these guys are learning. So I think time, being in a system, you can never underestimate that. And I feel like that's a great take by Cat for Life when he says, even with new personnel, I feel this team is strong mentally and physically. They've been through a lot and they've seen a lot. So I think that's gonna help us for sure. Definitely gonna help us. CWB, what's good? My man's on X, man. Come over and check me out. Oh, hey, shout out to all my X chat. Shout out to the Twitter chat. I appreciate y'all. Shout out to my YouTube chat. Over here on YouTube, we get it in. So come over here, become a subscriber, become a member of the family, man. We rock out over here, man. So really do appreciate y'all. Irv in the building. Irv, what's popping with you? Greg in the building. What's good, Greg? I see a lot of new people in here, man. Y'all got to go ahead and subscribe, bro. Go ahead and subscribe. Become a part of the family, man. It's all love over here. We ain't doing nothing crazy. Who was that? Louis Amador, who is that dude? My gosh. Hey, they coming out of the woodworks today. They're coming out of the woodworks. Greg, what's up with you, man? Greg says, yeah, this year we sneak out a divisional title. Sneak? Nah, we ain't gonna sneak it out. We just gonna punch them boys in the mouth and go, take that thing, man. We're gonna take it. He says it's been a long time coming, but I think this team has what it takes. This team definitely has what it takes on paper, right? And we're gonna talk about some of this just like this philosophy, this Mike McDaniel's philosophy of football. And I was on the homie Mace's show this morning, right? I don't know if y'all subscribe to Mace Taggart, but if you don't subscribe to Mace Taggart, you need to subscribe to him. He's a big Dolphins fan, but he covers everything. I mean, the dude covers hockey, baseball, soccer. He covers all the sports, but he is a big Dolphins fan, right? And I've known Mace for a long time. I frequent his channel a lot. I'll go over there and hang out. But I was over there this morning for one of his shows, and I jumped on the panel. We were having some conversations about like Tua, about Mike McDaniel, about the offense, and about all of that stuff that we have questions marks about. I mean, I think that's what it's about. Is like, man, is this team strong enough? Is this team good enough to go beat, Lamar in Baltimore? Is it good enough to beat Kansas City in the snow again? Like those are questions we have. It's very difficult to do that, but I mean that's what we want to see as Dolphins for sure. Definitely what we want to see. Um, Glenn says the thing I love about this fresh this year is that they can have injuries and survive, specifically when Chubb and Jalen get back. Yeah, for sure, for sure. And that's the thing. I think a good thing about the way this Dolphins team is built is that these injuries have kind of forced the Miami Dolphins to gain some depth in areas where they really didn't have depth. Right? We knew we were top heavy. We knew Jalen Phillips and Chubb were the guys. Right? We knew that. And we knew if they went out, man, we were going to struggle. But now it's forced the Miami Dolphins to draft guys, to pick up guys at the position. Shaq Barrett, Chop Robinson, all these guys who we picked up in the draft, right? That's going to be extra depth, and it's going to be like a rotation. Hopefully those guys get back into the fold. Maybe a little while, but it's extra depth at those positions to where, hey, if somebody is out, it's not a falling off the cliff type situation. Definitely not a falling off the cliff type situation. Von Joe in the building. Von Joe, what's good? Man, Dre in here. What's good, Dre? What the heck y'all talking about today? Hey, just another day in Dolphins land. He said we taking that thing and screaming out Hawk Tour. Boy, you a wild one, boy. Hey, shout out to Greg Sosa, a new member, man. I appreciate you becoming a new member. Hey, shout out to the members game, man. Y'all get in there and use them emojis. I do got to change some of those. I am going to be doing some stuff to the channel, making some changes as the season comes up. But, hey, we are definitely on it. We are definitely on it, man. I appreciate you becoming a member. Shout out to my guy, Greg Sosa. Yes, sir. We cranking up. We are cranking up. CWB says, CB, are you sliding down any practices in the next few weeks? You know I am. I always do, right? And it's a lot of my ops out there who be talking cash. They be talking cash money. I be out there streaming and everything. Ain't nobody pulling up because they know what time. They know what time it is. So I'm always down there. You gonna catch me somewhere in the stands. I was down there with TD Fins Talk last year. TD was trying to stream closer to me so he ain't have no static. He know I'm a bigger dude. I carry the muscles with me. So he was like, man, let me try to get a little bit closer to CB. So, if something do pop off, he got my back. Right. So, that's what TD be doing, man. Babe, but I show love to everybody. You know what time it is, man. I'm looking forward to seeing y'all. It'll be a good time. I'll definitely be at the scrimmage in the stadium. I got to get down for the garage sale to get my Dolphins merch. And I'm in the city. Hey, Broward. Hey, I'm on your ass, Broward. Hey, and Dre. The Broward County Snappers is better than Dades. You're right. Broward County Snappers is better than Dades. So, Dre, you did get some right. But shout out to the homie Glenn for becoming a member too. We gotta get some love to the homie Glenn. Yes, sir, Glenn. Let's get it. Let's go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Raph is in the building. What's up, Raph? Hey, Raph won one of my giveaways too. Raph, you gotta tell the people what you won. Raph won some heat from the homie. Yes, sir. Wayne D says, welcome to the family, Greg. Yes, sir. You're in the family now. Welcome to the family. Let me get the homie on here, man. We're gonna talk a little bit of Miami Dolphins, man. TDR, what is going on with you, man? How you feeling? It's Monday night. You good?
CB, what's good, brother? How are you doing, man?
What's good, man? What you got going on, man?
Hey, I'm just chilling. I just got back from coaching a basketball game, and it didn't go well.
Oh.
The kids need to learn how to be physical. We're going to talk about that.
The physicality, man. They can, hey, and that's the thing too. I mean, we do kind of live in a generation where things are getting a little bit like softer, right? It's getting a little bit more finesse, but you still need that presence. You still need that attitude, that physicality. And like while we're on the topic, like how do you feel about the Miami Dolphins offense and their philosophy? Like, do you feel like it's sustainable? Is it something that you can beat any team with in any weather conditions? Or do you feel like we need to be a little bit more versatile at times?
Well, so I think we've answered some of these questions, and last year I would say no. Like we got to a point where we knew that we could only do so much, and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, man, they're smaller guys. So if you jam them, and then we don't have an inside run leverage, and then we don't have a tight end that's gonna,
Mm,
set up a defense,
yeah.
and where are we going,
Yeah, and I think I was like I said, I was on Mace's show this morning. And I was talking about Mike McDaniel and his philosophy. And honestly, when you look at guys, and I watch a lot of football, right? And I went and watched some of the playoff games. Like I went and watched CJ Stroud's playoff game. Who did they play? They played who did they play in the playoffs? They played the Houston Texans played let me look it up real quick. Forgot who they played. Let me see. Houston Texans. Playoff. So they played in the playoffs. They played the Browns. Is that who they played?
Did they lose to the Browns?
No, they beat the Browns. And that's what I wanted to take a look at is the box score of the game. Because when I look at and this is what I was talking to Mace about as far as the game goes, right? CJ Stroud was 16 of 21 in the game. So he threw the ball 21 times. Now he threw for 274 yards. Now, when you look at what they did as rushing, they rushed the ball 22 times and they ran the ball for only 76 yards, right? But you can see there that there's balance to it, right? And that's my thing about the Miami Dolphins. When you look at what we did in our playoff game against Kansas City in bad weather, right? We threw the ball 39 times and then we ran the ball 14 times in inclement weather. So my thing is just, hey, Mike McDaniel has to find a way to be more balanced. Like, and Tua, I've always said this, and I keep repeating myself. Tua is not the guy that you want throwing the ball over 30 times without running the ball a significant amount. He's just not that type of quarterback yet. And I'm not saying he can't be that, but when you put it down and you put the tape on, like the more volume he gets, the more mistakes there are. So I would much rather Mike McDaniel kind of rein him in. And I don't know whether this is Mike McDaniel saying, hey, I want to be a flashy young coach who throws the ball around the yard, or I don't know whether he feels like, hey, the only way I can really win games or move the ball efficiently is if I'm throwing the ball around. So I think that's what bothers me most about our offense is that, on any given week, you don't know what we're going to do, but I feel like we need to be a more balanced football team, right? So CJ Stroud threw the ball 21 times and they ran the ball 22 times in a game where they won 45-14, right? I'm not saying we have to be that. I'm just saying that Mike McDaniel needs to focus on running the football a little bit more. And I think that'll give to a lot more opportunities to win in the passing game because those windows will open up slightly if we're a threat in the run game. Well, what's your thoughts?
I mean, I see we brought in Aaron Brewer, and then we can move Liam Eichenberg to right guard, and both of those guys are much better when it comes to run blocking. Maybe not as good as Connor Williams, but I mean, it could go lopsided too. Because Aaron
Yeah.
Brewer, he's over there in the Titans, he has to block for however long and pass. But he was always good with run blocking. So I think we need to establish that inside run. Grind down the clock, be able to, find that leverage so that these guys have to move into the box, and then we have less guys to go against in coverage. I
Yeah.
think it's just simple math, honestly. But I also do agree with you. I think that Tua could throw for 30, and if he had OBJ and Jonnu Smith, it's going to look a lot different. However, I think that it's much less guaranteed if you're going after this heavy pass offense, um, opposed to if you're establishing the run.
Yes. And I think that's where the Miami Dolphins just kind of dropped the ball. Like, and bro, and I'm gonna point out this number again. I'm gonna go to the Green Bay versus Dallas game, right? I'm gonna go to the Green Bay versus Dallas game. This is a playoff game, right? Packers end up winning the game 48-32. So they win by, 16 points, 2 scores easily. But when you go look at the stats of this game, right? Guess how many times Jordan Love threw the ball in that game? They won 48-32. They put up 48 points. How many times do you think he threw the ball?
I'm guessing it's anemic because I know that Aaron Jones and what is his name, Dylan? What
Yeah.
AJ
Well,
Dillon?
they had Emmanuel Wilson. So they had Aaron Jones, Emmanuel Wilson, and those
Oh,
were
okay.
kind of the two backs that carried him. But
Mm-hmm.
when you look at that game, bro, Jordan Love threw the ball 21 times, the same as CJ Stroud threw it, 21 times.
Yeah, and there's
He
a recipe in the playoffs. There's a recipe.
What's the recipe?
The recipe is you got to run the ball, man.
You gotta run the football. Guess how many times Dak threw the ball in this
I wonder
game? He
how
threw the
much.
ball 60 times.
Oh my god.
40. He went 41-60, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's astronomical. 41-60. You're putting your quarterback in a very, very bad situation. And I know you got to throw the ball to catch up and stuff like that. But man, 60 times, you started off chucking it out the gate. You had to.
Yeah.
But Jordan Love threw the ball 21 times, completed 16 of those. So he only had 16 completions, but they ran the ball 33 times. And that's what you do for young quarterbacks. And people may say, hey, Tua's not a young quarterback. He's been in the league 4 years. Like, what are we talking about? He is still young, very young in quarterback years in terms of developing. CJ Stroud was a rookie. Jordan Love has been in the league the same amount of years as Tua. Jordan Love has just got less game time reps because he sat behind Aaron Rodgers for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But they understand that, hey, let's not put our quarterback in a situation where we're forcing him to carry it, because in situations where you can't carry it or he's having an off game, you're stuck. I mean, you really kind of narrowed your options down. So I feel like you got to come out and be a little bit more versatile out the gate. And we look at situations like, these playoff games, and people want to compare Tua to Stroud and to Jordan Love. Go look at the games they had and go look at the pressure that was on them. Tua threw the ball 39 times. Those guys threw the ball 21 times. And their run games carried them. And that's how our run game should be doing for us. It should be carrying us until we need to, until we need to do it. And guys like FinFan7 will say, stop it, Tua is trash. But you got to give me some context. You can't just say Tua is trash. You got to tell me why Tua is trash, how. Put on the film, tell me what you don't like about him, stuff like that. That's what I want to hear.
Yeah, man. I'm not saying that the guy is perfect, but
Yeah.
when you say that the dude had like 2.1 seconds to throw, worst time in the pocket. And then he didn't have an intermediate. Well, he didn't have an under route threat. He didn't have a big body receiver bailing him out, safety valve. He couldn't even get to a check down. When he was sailing him because he's already freaked out. And also, I think a lot of Tua last year was him trying not to get hurt too. So, we put
Yeah,
these things together with what he's done in the past. And, when he first came into the league, he was highly efficient with those easy throws.
yeah.
Now he's super efficient with those big throws. So why don't we just put that together, get the inside run going, and this team could be very dangerous, brother.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, especially with the defense. Just imagine if the defense does come out and they are top 5 or something like that. Um, I think that'll be the difference in this team. I think honestly, I feel like the defense should be kind of carrying this team in terms of like efficiency. I feel like we have a great opportunity to be a great defense. Now, I know our offense could be top 5, top 10, but I feel like our defense should be the ones out there making plays and getting stops. Like on 3rd and long, we should be off the field automatically, right? And
CB, we're not gonna see the Titans, in
the
3 minutes,
debacle,
15 points, this stuff where it's heavy, it's contained, and we're just letting D Hop go for 35 yards because we're trying to contain. That's not going to be the case. We look at the Ravens and how they do, heavy disruption, heavy rotation, heavy
yeah.
blitz. Take the ball away. You don't wait for those things to occur. You go out and you take it.
Man, and honestly, you said heavy rotations, and I think that's a key too. Like I feel like the trench play last year was just heavy reliant on the guys, playing a lot of reps. And I felt like that's where the injuries came too. I mean, Christian Wilkins, Zach Seiler, Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips played a lot of football last year.
Yeah, like
Um,
70 to 80% snap share. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's crazy, especially for a defensive unit. Like defensive units, usually the snap count, snap share is usually around maybe 60 to 65 for those guys, but not playing 80 to 90% of snaps. That's just a lot of football, a lot of going full speed on your body. Because it does wear on your body, man, when you're going full speed like that against guys in the trenches.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think I want to see Weaver kind of rotate these guys in, um, and just and deploy them as a unit. Like we don't need everybody in on every play. Maybe you have Phillips in one play, maybe you have Chubb in on the next play, or maybe you do it a series at a time. I think he just needs to find a way to deploy guys to where it's not so um the same guys in at the same time. You got to kind of mix it up a little bit and throw something else at the offense. And I think that might be the difference this year too. And hopefully Weaver can figure that out because there's a fine line between, playing guys too much and not playing guys enough, right? So he's going to have to figure that out, and they're going to have to figure out how to keep guys healthy and rotate them in.
Yeah, when we look everywhere, I think we are much better off with depth. That's offense and defense. I think that they see what we ran into last year and they said it's unacceptable.
Yeah,
Even with
yeah,
receivers, dude, like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle hobbling around, and who's coming in for him? Chase Claypool, Cedric
yeah.
Wilson. These guys don't even know their routes.
Yeah, you're right. And I think that's what hurt us too last year offensively, man. Like offensive line, guys going down, receivers going down at times. I mean, we missed Waddle for a good amount of games. We missed Tyreek for some games down the stretch. And that really kind of stalled our offense. Like our offense really took a hit as a result of that. And we knew the defense was going to take a hit with, Chubb out, Phillips out. Holland was banged up at some points. The linebackers were banged up. I think those units are just. I think the units are better now. How do you feel about our corner depth and our secondary?
I mean, I like it. I think that our corners are going to be better. Like, I love X. I mean, he's done some very questionable things that I disagree with, obviously. But I mean, Kendall Fuller right now in this 2024 year, I think is a better option than Xavier Howard. But I can guarantee you, he's a better option than Eli Apple.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And Eli Apple didn't play bad for us, but I mean, honestly, you want to see a guy like Cam Smith get the reps, bro. Second round pick, like he's got to kind of come into his own. I'd like to see him start to get some reps. And I went down to training camp last year and I thought he was playing well, right? I don't know what happened in between that. Maybe he got injured a little bit, got nicked up. But as a result of that, he just never saw the field. And we're hoping that he can kind of pan out, become one of those guys who are trustworthy and who make some plays on the defense.
Yeah, I like Cam Smith. I like Ethan Bonner. I think Cater Kohu is going to play better in this system. I also think that the adjustment to the system, I don't think that it's really acceptable to put Cater Kohu on Stephon Diggs for the majority of the, you
Yeah,
know?
that's tough. That's tough. And I really like Cater Kohu. I feel like he had just a tremendous rookie year. Dude literally came out of nowhere. Came from Texas A&M Commerce, a little school that nobody had ever heard of, and came out and just played well. Was one of the most physical corners, one of the best corners we had on the football team his rookie year. And the second year just kind of took a step back. And I don't know, it seemed like it was more scheme based than anything, right? Because I
Didn't it
think
seem like he was questioning his feet? Like he
it
was
seemed like
overthinking his feet?
yeah, and I felt like he was questioning his confidence a little bit. And that's sometimes when you get a new coach and he's evaluating you and you like, damn, like I played well all last year. I was playing good football. Now I'm like second guessing myself. I'm not the same person. Sometimes guys get in their heads and that's a real thing, especially on a football field when you're second guessing your assignments and you can't play fast. Hopefully he just kind of gets integrated into this new system and it just kind of works out, man, because he was honestly one of the bright spots of our defense. And then last year we were like, damn, like he's not the same person. Not the same person. Shout out to the homie B Show in the building. B Show, what's good with you? MCJB in the building. My homie Greg in here, Shake Money in here, B McD. Yeah, man, I appreciate you guys coming through. But B Show says the defense will be very good. Chubb coming back will be big, but Phillips is huge. Dude was coming into his own before his injury. For sure, man. I mean, I think Jalen Phillips he's just a monster child, right? Um, and when you have that type of physicality on the field and you have the ability to get to the QB at any time because he can make those type of plays. Um, it just adds another element to your defense. It really does. Hopefully, those dudes get healthy quick. But I do have faith in guys like Shaq Barrett. And we'll see how Chop Robinson pans out. Like, honestly, I think Chop will get opportunities early to rush the quarterback, to be in on pass rushing downs and to go get the quarterback. Especially in preseason. He's going to be very interesting to watch in preseason because he's going to get some reps. He's going to get some opportunities to rush the passer. I want to see how he does in those moments because if he's in there wrecking shop and making some plays in preseason, we can kind of look forward to him getting some time when the season hits.
Yeah, man. Look at the Ravens, man. The Ravens and how they ran their edges. Jason away, Odafe away. I mean, these guys, they're coming off the edge trying to cause disruption. They're not necessarily going for the sack so much. Obviously that's the best case scenario if you get a sack, but these guys are overwhelming. And then you had Kyle Hamilton screwing everything up over the middle. And I think that we could be very similar to that. I think if we look at our personnel compared to the Ravens, I think we actually have a better personnel group.
Honestly, I wouldn't. I'm not even mad at that, right? Personal is one thing, but playing like that is another, right? So I definitely think we have the personnel. Now, do we have the mentality that group has, like physically, like mentally? And I think that's where Weaver comes in and he kind of flips the switch. Now, a guy like Fangio, laid back, probably not really engaged. Hey, this is my defense. I'm gonna call it. You guys got to run it. I think Weaver will come in and be a lot different. He'll be a lot more engaged. He'll be a lot more in tune with what guys want to do, right, and where they thrive at. And I think as a result of that, that defense could be out there making plays early. And it took Vic Fangio some time to get the defense going. It took till about week 7, week 8, about halfway through the season. A lot of people were calling for Fangio's job like early in the season because we just weren't playing well, right? They just didn't mesh. But when Ramsey came back, it was kind of like the difference maker. Everybody kind of got a little pep in their step, got some interceptions, and then the defense kind of took off from that point and started playing a lot better. But we'll see how it works out. I don't think Weaver's ever had, and I know he's never had this type of talent on his defense. Um, so as long as you can put guys in a position to be successful, and that's what coaching is about, bro. Just put these guys in a position to be successful and uh, accent their strengths. Like we know some guys have weaknesses. Cater maybe not the best man guy in the slot, right? Maybe you got to put him in some zone stuff, some zone schemes, and give him some help or something like that. Give him some help over the top. There's plenty of ways to just kind of help guys uh, in the system. Like you got to hide the weaknesses. That's what coaches do, right? I coached offensive line for a long time, right? My center wasn't always the strongest. Sometimes I had a young guy who needed the help. So I would, hey, out my guards, I would insinuate with my guards, hey, you got to help him on this play. We know on this play we're going stretch left. He's got to get over and block a 3 technique. You got to give him a hand here so he can kind of take it over and you can go up to the linebacker. So stuff like that. You just kind of know your guys and be able to like differentiate how you coach them, because that's what it comes down to, like putting guys in a position to be successful. And shout out to the homie FMP becoming a new YouTube member. Man, the YouTube gang, the members gang is popping, man. Shout out to everybody donating and supporting the channel, man. I appreciate y'all. Yes, sir. Appreciate you, man. He says it was long overdue, fam. I appreciate you, dog. But TDR, man, what's your thoughts? What's something you want to talk about? Or let's go to the chat. Let's go to the chat and let's see if they have any questions for us. Let's answer a couple questions from the chat. Jump in the chat, give us a question. We're gonna answer it. Appreciate the members coming through. We got Greg, we got Glenn, who renewed for about 4 months, and then we got FMP. But let's jump into a couple questions. Get into the chat, give me a question.
Well, real quick, CB, I don't know if you saw that space today, which this is an ongoing thing about Tua's value and the contract situation. I didn't know if you want to talk about that at all today, but it's just funny to me, man. Like I honestly think that these cats, they believe that Tua can just be replaced by Russell Wilson. Oh, but he had, it was $2 million. And then when you really get down to the conversation, Russell Wilson, he wanted to be a starter, So we know that it was going to be a replacement. It wasn't going to be him coming for a backup position. So they go, but why can't we get somebody like that for a backup position? Well, I mean, you have Plan Bs and Mike White. What do you want? You want Easton Stick? You want Jake Browning? Because those guys aren't going to be let go from their teams.
You're right, and honestly, this is a good conversation to have because I've talked about the Tua thing to nauseum, right? But I really want to talk about, hey, so what if you don't want Tua, or you think paying Tua isn't the option, like isn't the best option for the Miami Dolphins, then what should we do? Like, are we gonna get a guy like Derek Carr? Are we gonna try to get a guy like Easton Stick, or these guys who are kind of in between and they want to be starters in the NFL? But real quick, before we do that, shout out to the homie Irv with the becoming a member for 6 months, man. I appreciate you, Irv. We're renewing this membership, man. Hey, I love it. Guys are engaged. Guys are joining the members gang. We back. We back. 83 in the room. Punch the like button. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Let's go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's my guy, man.
Yeah. Irv always has some good information, some good takes. But yeah, I mean, like, what's your thoughts on the situation? Would you pay Tua or would you make him play on the 5th-year option? I don't think I've gotten your take on this.
What are the options for next year? Are there any
Franchise tag.
guarantees? Yeah, so we'd have to franchise him. We're gonna lose about $20 million this year. We're gonna be stuck next year. I mean, you're talking about right now we have an opportunity to save cap space and try and put together this roster that, I mean, from what I feel, is a Super Bowl contending roster.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we going to cut that short in the best years that we have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Ramsey and, a Bradley Chubb and like all these guys? We're going to cut that short so we are decent in the future. Like, nah, man, in my opinion, you go after it right now because this is your window.
Yeah. And this is your window, right? This is it. And I think this is as good as it's gonna get for the Miami Dolphins in a long time, right? This roster here, this situation. I think the last thing I want to be dealing with in season is contract talks between Tua and the organization. Because I just know how the distractions work for the Dolphins. I feel like the last time we had distractions was that Deshaun Watson to a trade situation. I feel like that's the last time we had those real distractions with the quarterback and like figuring out whether Tua would be the guy or not. During that stretch where we were trying to figure out if we were going to get Deshaun Watson or whether we were going to stick with Tua, the Dolphins went 1-7. And at the trade deadline, after the trade deadline passed, we won 7 games straight. And it's just like, man, if you would have just focused on your quarterback and playing good football during the year and not worried about the trade or not worried about getting another quarterback in the room, this was easily a playoff team. And I felt like Brian Flores had underachieved that year because of the distraction of the Deshaun Watson rumors and all of that stuff. It was just a huge issue, and I feel like it just caused us to tank down that stretch up until the trading deadline. And we end up
100%.
bouncing back, but it's like, bro, just focus on coaching who you got. As a head coach, you don't always get the players that you want. I can guarantee you that. You don't always get the players you want. Of course, you want the players that you want, but it don't always happen like that. But you coach up who you got. You give them the best shot. You coach them up to the best of your ability, and you try to put them in a position to be successful. So I feel like, man, you gotta do what's best for the team, and doing what's best for the team is just making sure that you take care of the guys that are on the roster and lock up guys who you have the opportunity to lock up. I mean, the Miami Dolphins haven't paid a franchise quarterback since Tannehill. I mean, they gave Tannehill what, $100 million contract for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's been a while since we've done it. I feel like, hey, go ahead and lock Tua up, extend Tyreek, bring some more guys in the building that can help you win right now, especially in the trenches when it comes to the offensive line. Maybe you get, somebody else who can help you in the trenches. But man, you got opportunity right in front of you. And you're gonna at this point say, hey, Tua's not our guy, or we don't want to pay him. After the Mike McDaniel situation, after you see the relationship with them and you see how good they are together, it's weird to me that it's coming down to this. But I also think a lot of this is overblown too. So
Yeah, for sure. And it's also this whole ideology, I guess you would call it, of replace Tua. It started with Deshaun Watson, then it was Lamar Jackson. It's delusion, man. Like, you talk to these people and they think that Kirk Cousins was going to come back up Tua. But meanwhile, the guy just got $180 million or whatever he got paid. and then they go Baker Mayfield. You're not paying a guy $16 million a year to back up a quarterback. It's just not happening.
Yeah, it's not happening. It's not
You know,
happening.
so it's delusion, man. It really is, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, some guys live in that delusion though. So I mean, I guess we can't help it. I mean, you could lead a horse to water, but you can't make these guys drink it and think the way you think. Um, we're gonna get into some of these questions real quick. What about Ryan can't climb a hill? So you must be talking about Ryan Tannehill. I don't think Tannehill's the answer. TDR, what's your thoughts on Ryan Tannehill?
Uh, Maybe slightly better than Mike White.
I agree. I agree with that. I think he's definitely a more formidable option than Mike White. Um, I mean, are we willing to pay Tannehill that type of money to be a backup? I don't think so.
Well, he only got good when he had Derrick Henry, man.
Yeah, he had the
Moved the ball 35 times for him.
best run game in football. He was making it happen, man. Another question. CB, who's the under the radar player on the team that you'll be paying attention to this year? I think that's a good question. Under the radar player, I would say Jordan Brooks, because I think we underestimate how how influential that position is, that linebacker position is to our defense. And I liked Jerome Baker as a person, but I felt like his play was underwhelming. And I feel like David Long Jr. was a great addition. And I felt like him playing playing next to Jerome Baker was definitely an upgrade from what we had, but I felt like we could be so much better there. So I think Jordan Brooks will be kind of that under the radar guy that I'll be watching to see if he kind of takes the reins and comes out and becomes like a real dog for us. Because I think those linebackers are important for also just setting the tone of the defense. Those guys in the middle are kind of like the headhunters. And if he comes out and he's physical and he's making plays right away, I think that could take our defense to the next level. But what's your thoughts? Who would be your under the radar guy?
I like Jordan Brooks. I think people are sleeping on Jordan Poyer a lot. And the reason why is
Ooh.
because that dude calls a defense, man. I
Yeah.
mean, he's back there. There's a reason why the Bills' defense was always set up. And, I think that they're going to take a hit because they don't have that voice anymore, and we're going to take the benefit from it. But, yeah, the secondary gets better. He's putting people in position. Javon Holland, I love him, man, but he's not vocal.
Yeah, I mean, and it's weird because I like Javon Holland as a player. I like the fact that he's young. I don't know. I felt like he took a step back with Fangio, and I don't know if that's because he didn't like Fangio or because there was rift there. He clearly didn't like him, right? He kicked rocks after it was over, but hopefully he can get back into playing good football and being himself. Because I felt like under Fangio, he just wasn't himself. He wasn't that vibrant player that we were used to seeing. Running around, flying around, hitting guys. We didn't see that last year. I don't know if it was health or not being, comfortable in the system, but hopefully he gets back to being that.
Yeah, man. Sometimes, as well as I do that when you're back there in the secondary and you're trying to look at whatever, what's going on, and you're trying to set these guys up.
Yeah.
I mean, it can very quickly become quicksand when you just can't see it.
Yes.
When you're not familiar with it enough, or you don't have that confidence.
Or sometimes guys get caught looking somewhere they're not supposed to be looking. And my son is playing the safety position, and I talked to him about it. It's like, bro, you got to be looking at what you're supposed to be looking at. You can't be looking in the backfield when you got guys running past you. You better have your eyes between that man and the quarterback and make sure nothing's getting behind you. Sometimes safeties get caught looking in the backfield, and at the drop of a dime, these NFL quarterbacks can turn their hips and go the other way. And we saw it in the Ravens game. So that's something he has to be a little bit better at. And I'm sure Weaver will have those conversations with him about, being that guy back there.
Do you think that Jordan Poyer helps that out?
I think so, for sure. For sure. I think having a guy like Poyer back there with him, somebody he can communicate with, somebody who's an older, a veteran, will definitely help him back there. And I think that's what was kind of missing back there, anyways. It's kind of like a veteran presence. Now, Deshaun Elliott was a good player, a thumper, downhill guy, but I just think he wasn't, um, the guy that was going to kind of take Holland under his wing and bring him along,
He's
right?
not a commander. He's not a commander.
Exactly. Not a commander. He's a more of like a follower guy.
Yeah.
Let me answer this question by Jankety Jim. CB, do you think Holland is worth resigning at the top of the market? Good question. At the top of the market, no. I think Javon Holland's got to be willing to take a little bit of a discount for us if he wants to be a Dolphin. If not, it'll be that Christian Wilkins situation, and he'll go get paid somewhere else. What's your thoughts, TDR?
This was a good year to sign him. Everybody was cheap. That was the cheapest damn position.
It was the cheapest you were gonna get him. It was the cheapest you were gonna get him.
I know. It is what it is. They have to make room for other guys, and I get it. And I think Greer did a pretty good job. So
yeah.
You know.
Greer did a good job. Irv, shout out to Irv with the $2 donation. He says, my biggest concern is QB2, QB3, and interior offensive line. Yikes. Man, if we're getting to QB2 and QB3, the season is over with, guys. I just want to let you know that. Like, let's not get into a realm. Let's not get into a situation where we think we can win a Super Bowl with a backup quarterback. If we have 31 other teams in the NFL, if their starting quarterback goes down, guess what? They are not going to the Super Bowl. We do not have a Nick Foles, Carson Wentz situation. We just don't have it. So let's not fool ourselves. If we're getting to QB 2 and 3, don't worry. The season is over with. We rebuild for the next year. That's it.
It's not that type of offense either. It's not the type of offense that Nick Foles can come into and command,
Right.
You're talking about super quick guys, perfect timing routes.
Yeah.
Like, that's not what Nick Foles did to win that Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he had the time. It was it was definitely a system.
It was like an RP. It was an RPO
like
based.
RPO,
Yeah. It was RPO, and Nick Foles just kind of came in and operated it. He didn't do anything special. I think the play calling helped him a lot because the Eagles just kind of stayed ahead of it. They were balanced. They ran the football well, and sometimes you get lucky like that, right? And sometimes shit just falls your way. I don't think a lot of teams will get that opportunity with a backup quarterback. It just doesn't happen. It rarely happens. So if we're getting a quarterback 2 and 3, don't even worry about it. Now, offensive line, I'm with you there. Interior offensive line, we could use a little bit more help there. But I'm not. When it comes to QB 2 and 3, bro, if we get there, we'll just go ahead and say, hey, next year for us. Go ahead and say next year.
I think a lot of people said, I think Irving said too the other day, Greg Van Roten is still available. I would be okay with that.
Is he pretty good?
He's good. He's getting older, but he's good. He's probably better than Liam Eichenberg, but not by much.
I got you. B Show says, CB, I mentioned Driscoll earlier in the chat. There was a nice breakdown of him. Can he be the right guard? So I haven't watched a lot of Driscoll film, but I'll get into it. I'm sure. Who does the breakdowns for us in the community? Ryder? I think Ryder might have done. Yeah, Ryder does a really good job. So Ryder might have done a breakdown on him. I'll get into it and watch him. I'm an offensive line guy, so I'll take a look at him and see. But honestly, let's be real, B Show. Like what we have at right guard and left guard right now isn't off the charts. If we're talking Liam Eichenberg and we're talking who's our left guard right now? What, Robert Hunt? Not Robert Hunt, but Robert Jones?
No, left guard is Isaiah Wynn.
Isaiah Wynn, right?
Which is slightly above average is what I'd say.
Yeah, so I'm cool with Isaiah Wynn being the left guard. Right guard, we're probably going to have Eichenberg fighting for that spot. Who else is going to fight for that spot? Probably Driscoll. Who else?
Maybe Robert Jones, but I think Robert Jones is backing up. Isaiah Wynn. I mean,
Yeah,
he might be
yeah.
able to come in. I don't think that he really did well at right guard.
Yeah, I think he struggled at right guard. How do we feel about the rookie? Do we think the rookie will have a shot to play this year?
Yeah, but he's outside. Patrick Paul,
Yeah,
he's definitely a tackle. He's just so big, so long.
big dude, big dude. Now, we'll see. I mean, I'll take a look at Driscoll and see what he looks like. Bro, honestly, I feel like anybody could be competing for that right guard spot. Um, I want to see everybody get a shot at it because honestly, I don't think Eichenberg stands out as being like a solidified starter there. Um, so I'm cool with anybody. Cool with anybody there.
Now, we
Uh,
don't ask him to do a bunch with stunts or pulls or any of that from the right side. For whatever reason, it's center to left. So, and last year when he was in the right guard position at like 146 snaps, he took 0 sacks. So, his
mm,
numbers were definitely much better from right guard.
that's interesting. And now I'm sure the Miami Dolphins are looking at that and being like, "Oh, he was serviceable, so we could probably leave him there, and he can get his money there. He can earn his pay there." Um, now, pass pro, one thing, put like getting on that inside zone and outside zone and running the hump and stuff like that, that's a totally different situation. So I feel like he needs to be better and more swift in the run game. And that takes being nimble. But you got a guy like Brewer next to you, and Brewer honestly is, I think he's one of the best run blocking centers in the league based off looking at his film. And
He
what I
gets
want
down
you
there quick.
he gets down there quick. And what I want you guys to understand about run blocking in the NFL, it's a lot different from what it used to be. I was talking to an NFL guy over the weekend. His name's Ray Forsyth. He played for the Bengals. He played offensive line. His son plays tackle for the Seahawks right now, Stone Forsyth. And we were talking about offensive line play and how the game has changed a lot. And we were having a conversation just saying, hey, you don't have to be a guy that just maul guys down now. You don't have to mow guys down in the offensive line. It's just a matter of being swift and nimble enough to get your positioning right and then cutting the guy off. It's a bunch of cutoff blocks. You don't have to be pancaking guys and mashing them into the ground. It's just a matter of being swift, being nimble, getting around the edge, punching that outside shoulder and cutting guys off. That's something that Eichenberg can do. He's just got to be a little bit more faster, a little bit more nimble. And I think that's why Austin Jackson cut so much weight and like decided, hey, I'm going to trim down because I need to be faster and quicker on my feet.
He's just got to get his damn mind right. I mean, I was watching tape from that Kansas City Chiefs game. I think it was like the last, or maybe it was the second to last play. And Liam Eichenberg is blocking air to the left. And that's when Tua trips over him. And now we have a difficult situation. It's stuff like that I've seen. And also, he's gotten guys hurt too. So,
Yeah, and I think so. And it's some guys out there doing some good film breakdowns, but what we got to understand from like a pass protection standpoint, we got to know like what their responsibilities are. And honestly, from looking at the film, you really can't tell, right? Unless you see guys do like a full slide or you see them sprint now doing sprint protection. A lot of times it'll be like man on one side and zone scheme on the other when it comes to like blocking. So it's just a matter of kind of understanding what they're doing. Like when I was coaching, you know, if we had a man protection, it was going to be like we take the 4 down lineman, and we take Mike. So my center would always, hey, we're going to identify Mike. We know we're responsible for Mike, and we know we're responsible for the 4 down lineman. Anybody else, hey, that's the running back's responsibility. So understanding your protections was key, right? Hey, if we're taking 4 down and Mike, we got these 4 down linemen. We got Mike. Wherever Mike goes, we got to pick him up. Running back's responsible for outside linebackers. He's responsible for a corner blitz or anything like that. And the quarterback has got to know where the heat is coming from. Got to know where the heat is coming from. And we lost TDR for a second. But yeah, I think that's important too. Like slide protection versus man protection, just knowing your responsibilities. And I think guys will get into the rhythm of it. And I think Mike McDaniel does a really good job of hiding guys' weaknesses. And that's what I do like about McDaniel. He's going to find a way to like scheme it up to where he's not leaving you on an island by yourself so you can get thrashed for an entire game. He's going to scheme it up to where it's going to look like run and it's going to be a pass and you're going to catch some guys off guard. So that's what I do like about Mike McDaniels in his scheme is that he's not leaving his offensive lineman out there to dry, right? And I think that's important, especially with our offensive line, because we don't have the greatest guys, the most athletic guys, but we have guys who can get in the way, make the block, give us some time, especially with the scheme and the way the run game and the sprint protection is.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, man. But man, we've been going for an hour, man. I think, I appreciate you coming on, man. This was a good time to just kind of talk about the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, thanks for the invite, man. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, man. We got to get you on more often, man. Tell people where they can find you, man.
I'm pretty much exclusive to Twitter. I'm trying to keep it that way. There's just too much social media demand and negativity, you know. But you can find me at that Dolphins Realtor, that Fins Realtor, on Twitter. I'm always there, having a good time.
Yeah. TDR, hey, you have a great Twitter, bro. So I support you and what you're doing, man. I appreciate you coming on, chopping it up with me, man. It was good to have you on. And we'll get together soon. We'll do it again soon.
Thanks, bro. Hey, if you're going down there, let me know.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm definitely down there. So we'll definitely link. I'm gonna try to get the content creators together, try to get everybody together, and do a little party somewhere or something. We'll get it
Let's
cracking.
go. Let's go. Let me know.
For sure. All right, man. It was good chopping it up with you.
All right, bro. Have a good one.
All right, later, man. Anthony Manzano says, CB question: if a coach is scheming to avoid the weaknesses of a player and not improving or fixing those issues, doesn't that scare you? That's a good question, Anthony. Man, that's a good question. Anthony, you coming up with a good one tonight, man. So look, at this point, when it comes to practice, you want to put your guys in uncomfortable situations, right? That's where you want them to get better. You want them to get better in practice, in the film room, stuff like that, right? When it comes to the game, you want to run proven stuff that you know is going to work, right? And I don't want to put my guy in a situation where he's uncomfortable doing something. Like if my guy is uncomfortable pulling and leading up through the hole on the left side and he just is not making the block, he's not identifying the linebacker or the guy he needs to block when he gets around that corner, I don't want to call a play in the game that's going to put him in that same situation, because if I've seen him do it, 5 times on film and mess it up, and he's done it well one time, what's the percentage of him doing it well in the game, right? Things in the game only get more elevated, more escalated. It's just faster, quicker. It's going to be more physical. So I don't want to put him in that situation in the game. Now, in practice, I'm going to put him through the ringer in practice. I'm going to say, hey, this is something we need to work on. And not only will I put him in like live game reps in practice or live practice reps, I'm also going to run the drills with him. So I may have him do it on bags. I may have him run that same pull on bags and just rep it and rep it and rep it. And then when we get into team time or when we get into like a run only drill, then I'll say, hey, let's go. This is the play. We got to get it. And then I'll watch him do it there. Maybe watch him do it there a couple times. And then we watch it on film. We evaluate it. We say how he did. If he does it well and he starts to get it, shit, I might run it in a game. I might say, hey, he's ready for it. We ran it well in practice. He's put it on film in practice. Now let's go out there and execute in the game. But if he's not doing it well in practice and he's not getting good reps in it in practice, then I'm not going to run it in the game. So I can say that answering your question, avoiding players' weaknesses in games is important. Because if they aren't doing it in practice, bro, they aren't going to do it in the game. So, and I think that's why so many coaches feel like, hey, young players, if you aren't doing what you need to do in practice, I can't trust you in the game, because trust not you give up 7 points in a game. That's a huge play, right? Every play is crucial in the NFL. So if you cost us 7 points, offensively or defensively, as a result of you not making a play that I saw you didn't make in practice, then that's on me. Like, I gotta own that as a coach. Like, I should have coached that up better. And honestly, I shouldn't have put you in that position in the game because you didn't do it well in practice. So that's a really good question. I just feel like you have to put guys in a position to be successful, and it starts with practice. If they aren't doing it in practice, they aren't going to do it in the game. You watch a lot of film of practice, you evaluate it, you break it down, and if they aren't doing it in practice, you're not going to run that in a game. So that's my thoughts on it. But that's a good question. That's a good question. Um, DG says tired of this O line. Stop it, man. Stop it. Hey, we got 100 watching right now. Please do me a favor and punch the like button. Just helps the channel, helps me get it out. Shout out to Crazy Dolphin in the building. Hey, all the homies pulling up. Samuel Rosa, hey CB83, what's good? CWB with great show, CB83. I appreciate you. JR Black, TDR the Bill Slayer. Question are the meaningless INTs. Mr. Paul, what's up, brother? Shout out to Irv. Hey, Mr. Polk. Good evening, CB83 and Miami Dolphins fans, and good night. Good night, homie. Appreciate y'all coming through. Anthony says CB, but that worries me if you're scheming to protect a player because he has serious deficiencies and not trying to fix them and growing through the growing pains. That worries me. Sometimes it's okay to grow through the growing pains, but sometimes you're here to win football games, right? And when players' jobs and coaches' jobs are on the line, it's not about exposing weaknesses, right? It's about winning football games. So, in those moments where you're trying to win football games, yeah, like now, if it's late in the game and you're up 3 scores and you want to get something on film and see if a guy can do something, then that's when you run it. That's when you want to expose some of their weaknesses when they're in game and it's late in the game and they need to work, right? You want to get it on film. And that's what coaches do. Hey, this is a perfect time for us to run that play that um, you know, Eichenberg struggled at. Let's run that play now, right? Let's see if he can get it down. So that's when they'll do that. They're not going to do that when, things are on the line and it's nut cruncher time. You do that when it's late in the game and you get some guys some work. Red, White, and Bills, what's good with you? Yo, CB, what's up, man? What's going on with you? He said, I'll catch the rewatch. Yeah, man, catch the rewatch. Hey, get in the comment section after the video is over. Let me know what you guys think about some of these things we discussed. What you guys got to do is I'm going to tell you what I do. When I watch videos and I comment on something, there's a little number box next to it. And I click the number box and then I put in my comment at that point and it marks where it is for the viewer, right? Or for the video content creator. That's what I do because it shows them which part I'm watching. So you guys got to check that out. Go in, click the little number box when you're watching the video. Let me know what you think about specific areas in the video where we're having these conversations. And it makes it easier to track. I can go click that box and go to that part of the video and listen to it and then read your question. So it just allows me to engage with you guys. And I like having the conversations, man. I'm always in the comment section commenting on content, always engaged. I love talking Miami Dolphins, even with people who are negative and people who, think the Dolphins are trash or tour is trash, whatever. I'm all for it. I'm always willing to have the conversations. But man, I really do appreciate y'all coming through. I love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Shout out to all the new members. Greg is a new member. Glenn extended his membership for 4 months. My homie FMP became a new member. Irv extended his membership, and Irv dropped a $2 donation too, man. So I appreciate all the support. It just helps the channel. It's gonna help me go down there to training camp and get some good content for you guys. You guys know I go live. You guys know I, talk about what they're doing, whether it's drills, whether it's team periods, 7-on-7, inside drill, individual drills. I talk about it all, man. That's what happens when you've been around the game a lot. I've been there, done that. So appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Hey, give me a shout, comment on the video, hit me up on Twitter, jump in the DMs. Y'all already know what time it is. It's Vince Take with CB83, and your boy is out. See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya. We out of here. We out of here.